All right, guys, here we go. Nicholas Cross at the Rockin' Wrestling Radio Show, being listened to all across these United States and a little bit into Canada. And this is the top 10 count of the week, and it's WrestleMania week. So you guys are exciting me as I'm exciting you, and we're getting ready to get to number 10. You guys voted, you guys said what you wanted, and this is what you chose. WrestleMania 19. I want you to think about one of the only times in history where the WWE and the Mania event is actually headlined by two former amateur wrestlers. And you guys voted for this at number 10. That's right. Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. And while I think that this should have been a little lower on the list, I'm voting 5. I have no argument whatsoever with your guys' choice here. I want to tell you one of the most phenomenal matches I ever saw, because Brock Lesnar performed at his peak, Kurt Angle performed at his peak, and it was the craziest looking shooting star press that I had ever witnessed in my entire life. WrestleMania 19 with the former NCAA champion taking on the former, or the Olympic gold medalist rather, Kurt Angle, and it was such an exciting event, such an exciting match. But that can only lead us to one thing. Since WrestleMania 19, Lesnar and Angle were number 10. One is wondering what you guys said about number 9. Everybody get ready as we venture out to WrestleMania 8 to watch Macho Man, ooh yeah, dig it brother, wrestling the one and the only, the late great, the immortal, not Hulk Hogan, but woo, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. WrestleMania 8 was one of the greats of all time. And I actually agree that number 9 is a good place for this one, as Ric Flair and Macho Man Randy Savage styled and profiled. They were jet-flying, limousine-riding, kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing sons of guns on this night anyway. And I believe that possibly WrestleMania 8, the show was stolen, as the special appearance by Miss Elizabeth proved that she was 100% with Macho Man as he reigned supreme. But with that said, we have to step away from WrestleMania 8 and number 9 to figure out what number 8 is. And when we think about number 8, I don't think about WrestleMania 10, because WrestleMania 10 to me was one of the great WrestleManias of all times. But you guys, my fans, the fans, our fans, all the fans, you guys voted unanimously almost, it seems. It was crazy, like a 88% downfall, that number 8 should be WrestleMania 10. And does anybody guess what match we're talking about here? That's right, we're talking about Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels, the infamous ladder match to unify the fake Intercontinental title with the real Intercontinental title. And I would like to say that it stole the show, but nobody can say that because there were so many great matches. I mean, you think about Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, you think about Bret Hart versus Yokozuna, you think about this really cool hardcore chain of events between Macho Man, Randy Savage, and Crush. But while it may not have necessarily been the single greatest match in wrestling history, it certainly is a match that will be remembered forever. And you guys chose it here to be remembered in the annals of Nicholas Crossdom and Rockin' Radio Wrestling Show at number 8 forever. But that's not the end, is it? You see, as we jump from WrestleMania 10, we got to find ourselves at number 7 at WrestleMania 18. And I got to be honest with you, I really, really, really like the choice here. You guys voted The Rock versus Hollywood Hogan. That's right, The Rock versus Hulk Hogan. And while I thought that this was going to be the single greatest joke of a match that you could ever imagine, I was actually quite impressed by the performance that Hulk Hogan put on, and by the fact that The Rock was able to perform with such as Hulk Hogan. And I got to be honest with you, this is one of the greatest matches, in my opinion, of all time. If it were up to me, because of just the star quality and just the authority of the match, I think I would have put this at number 3, believe it or not. But you guys voted number 7, Rock Hogan, WrestleMania 18, and it was an exciting event to say the least. But that is not the end, because one of my all-time favorite WrestleMania matches is where you guys voted number 6. Number 6 has to be counted with WrestleMania 17. WrestleMania 17 has to be thought about, and only one match stands out as much as any other, and that features, guess what? The Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian, in a tables, ladders, and chairs match. It was as violent as it sounds, while these 3 young teams used any and everything they could to come together to perform at the top of their peak. It was just the fact that there was something there. It was the fact that these 3 teams had the ability to work together like never before. I mean, I think about all the tag team matches in the past, and I think you can't help but to think about, and maybe I'm crazy here, but I think about one of these great tag team matches. At least it was great to me. It was the British Bulldogs versus Brutus the Barber Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine, and I thought it was a phenomenal match, but that was not this. This was wrestling at its pinnacle. This was wrestling at its greatest, and I'm so excited that I was able to be a part of that, to watch that, to experience that, to be live and in person right there. As bodies and ladders and tables and chairs, oh my, were flopping and flipping and flooping all over the place. WrestleMania, and it was a great match at WrestleMania. I'm losing my mind over here. I'm so excited about that match. I'm actually bouncing up and down in my chair. The studio is rocking, and we're getting ready for some more Wrestle Talk right here as we come into number 5. Now you think about number 5, and you think about one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. You think about WrestleMania 3. And I know what many of you are thinking, WrestleMania 3, it must be talking about the immortal Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant. No. It's actually the Macho Man Randy Savage taking on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. And I think this is my number 2 on the list because of the show-stealing quality here. But Macho Man and Ricky Steamboat put on a heck of an event, didn't they? It was for the Intercontinental title, and it changed the face, at least for me, of the Intercontinental Championship. Of course, unfortunately, these days, the Intercontinental Championship has been diminished down to a Cruiserweight belt, and the Cruiserweight title is on an indie show, and so it's like a big joke. Well, this was the Intercontinental title. This was the epoch of pro wrestling. This was a time when the Intercontinental title meant something. And this was a time when Randy Savage and Steamboat put on one heck of a show. And it was amazing. But we can't stop there. Because when you think about Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat, and I kind of agree with you guys on this next one, you can't help but to think about WrestleMania 12. And the Iron Man match jumps off the page at me. I mean, you think about an hour-long wrestling match, and you're like, good Lord, that's going to be boring. But this one didn't go an hour. It went an hour in like 7 or 8 minutes. And you're thinking to yourself, this is going to be the most boring match in the history. But Bret the Hitman Hart and the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels brought it, and they did it. It was the first ever Iron Man match in WWE history, and it transitioned a new era, at least I feel that, for smaller athletes in professional wrestling. It was a cool match because the 60 minutes ended in a deadlock. I mean, it was like everything had brought us to this point, and they were tied. So who in the world was going to do what, and how in the world were they going to do it? Well, here's what happened. Shawn Michaels super kicked him in the face and won the title. Well, you know, while that doesn't seem so dramatic, the match, the prestige, the show, the entertainment quality, every piece of it was outstanding. In my opinion, it was CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, hopefully at WrestleMania 31, which to me will be just as good. I agree that this is number 4, or it should have been number 1. I'm kind of on the fence about this because Bret Hart was one of my all-time favorites. Shawn Michaels is one of the all-time greats. So WrestleMania 12, Bret, Shawn, world title. Shawn Michaels overed him, but it was a great match. Iron Man, 67 minutes or so it was. And then you guys voted it number 3. And once again, I run across one of the all-time greats, Bret the Hitman Hart. But this one is neat because it includes the new face of WWE at this time. It was WrestleMania 13. It was Bret the Hitman Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And it was that immortal image of Stone Cold Steve Austin with the crimson mask, blood pouring down his face in the sharpshooter, Ken Shamrock screaming at the top of his lungs, "Do you give up?" Bret Hart screaming at the top of his lungs, "Tap out, you sorry SOB." And he just wouldn't quit. The match ends by Ken Shamrock ending it because Stone Cold bled out. He was passed out, and Bret Hart went on to win. But there was a bigger victory that night, at least for me. It was the night that the Rattlesnake turned a corner in this industry. It was the night that the crowd started respecting him more than just cheering for him. It was the night that it was realized that this was the night that he was the man, or at least he was going to become the man. So number 3 here, maybe a good choice for number 3, maybe another choice for number 1. I'm not sure, but it was a pivotal moment in WrestleMania history as we talk about WrestleMania 13. Well, number 2, WrestleMania 17, you guys voted here. Another great match and another very interesting match here as it was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock. I think it was interesting. We had seen Stone Cold and The Rock so many times, and it was billed that Stone Cold had to win this match. Stone Cold had to win this match, yada, yada, yada. Well, what was cool about it is it was the moment that Stone Cold shocked the wrestling world. You see Vince McMahon coming down. You see Vince McMahon taking the corner. You see Vince McMahon throwing a chair in. You see Stone Cold not pile driving, but beating the living snot out of The Rock with a chair. You see Vince McMahon and Stone Cold taking an eye, taking a beer. Stone Cold wins the world title. WrestleMania 17's over, and the day is done. But let me tell you something. It was more than just that, wasn't it? It was that Stone Cold Steve Austin had turned another corner. It was the moment when he was proving that it wasn't just about him being the greatest babyface of all time. Now he had to be the greatest heel of all time. And he was competing with the greatest heel of all time, Triple H. And, of course, WWE did a phenomenal job. They put those two guys together and created this, weird faction where there was this weird hatred between the two of them, but at the end of the day, they were working together. And I loved WrestleMania 17. I love The Rock. I love Austin. I love the match. It was great. Thank you guys for voting that number 2. I think I would have agreed with you. Well, as I was looking through your guys' list, I came across this weird nuance in history. A lot of people in the past have talked about matches that are remembered and matches that are forgotten. And I think about the fact that there is one match that can never be forgotten, and that is WrestleMania 25. I'm listening. Can you guys guess what we're talking about here? We are talking about The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. It was the streak versus the career. And I got to be honest with you, I loved this match with all of my heart. It was an emotional battle. It was full of twists and turns, and it told the most compelling story, in my opinion, in WrestleMania history. You had two aging, decorated legends, and you had them put on an exciting show that young talents could only dream of achieving. I think about the look on the face of The Undertaker when Shawn Michaels kicked out of the pile driver. It was a snapshot of the heart and passion and of Michaels, and it displayed the true spectacle of WrestleMania. If you think about the entire thing about WrestleMania, you can't help but think, and I'm really glad you guys voted this number 1, as you can hear my excitement, but you can't help but to think about everything that goes up into WrestleMania. And the build-up into this match was executed perfectly when you think about it. Now, I want you to look at this. It was the born-again Christian Shawn Michaels taking on that demonic phenomenon, The Undertaker, and it was the seamless angel versus demon angle. And it was not only the best match of the night, but it also stands out as one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. I mean, you think about all of this. It was so cool. As a matter of fact, it may be the Holy Grail. When you think about professional wrestling, the Michaels Taker 25 may have been the Holy Grail. I can't think of a better match since, and I can't think of a better match prior. I mean, you had some greats, and you guys know that I'm a huge Steamboat Savage fan, but this was a match. Not only was the story told best, not only were there two peak performers that were second to none in the ring together, not only were they older guys who had reached the epoch of their career probably years before, but you had a storytelling show, you had a wrestling show, you had a match for the ages, and no one could argue that. And that's why I love it when you guys do the 10 count and you guys vote for the matches, because you're always right. There is no better choice than Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 as the single best WrestleMania moment in professional wrestling history. Well, there's the bell, guys, and you guys heard it first right here this week on a 10 count WrestleMania special. This is Nicholas Cross with your Rockin' Wrestling Radio Show. I'll get it out one day, and we will join you again tomorrow morning with a little bit more information about CM Punk. Have a good day.